Hello basketball coaches and basketball players, my name is Alan from Al's Basketball Training, and today I am going to talk to you about my top 5 jump ball basketball plays. These are basketball plays that can help you get quick, fast points to start off the basketball game. Let's get down to the clipboard and let's check out these amazing basketball plays. Okay, so in this first play, we want player 5, him to tap the ball to either player 4 or player 1. Let's say, for example, player 1 gets the ball. This play would be the exact same no matter what side it goes to. We're going to have player 2 set a screen for player 5. Player 5 is going to use that screen, and now player 1, he is not going to be dribbling the ball. He is going to be looking down court because he's going to be lobbing the ball to player 5, and he is going to then score the basket. When I was back in elementary school, middle school I should say, we ran a very similar basketball play, except I was the center back then. I would tap it back to player 3. He would not be our point guard. Our point guard would be on one of these sides. However, the idea behind this play, what we ran in middle school when I was a player, was again, we would have now player 2 still setting that screen on player 5, which would be me. This would be me. But we would then have player 1 drop back. Player 3 would pass player 1 the ball. Meanwhile, this screen is happening. And then player 1 would pass to player 5, for the layup. So even though this is the same play, it's got a few different hiccups in it. Now, going from there, if the ball was tapped to player 4, same idea happens. Screen, player 5 runs, uses that screen, and goes in for that layup. Okay, so in this next basketball play, we're going to create a square around the half-court circle, the jump ball. And what we're going to be doing here is player 5, he is going to be tapping the ball to one of these two players. Whoever gets that ball, what's going to happen here is player 3, he'll set a screen for player 5. Of course, remembering he probably should not be jumping inside of that circle until player 1 gets that ball. But player 3 is going to be setting a screen. Player 2 is going to be setting a screen on player 4. Player 4 is going to be using that screen. Player 5 is going to be using that screen. Now, player 1 has two different options. He can pass to player 4 or he can pass to player 5. If neither of those two players are open, he can set up the offense. But if one of those two players are open or both of those players are open, definitely get them the ball. They are going to be open for a layup. And I'm going to say with this play, we have a 90% success rate on scoring right off the jump. So now in this third play, it's a little bit more unconventional, but still a very strong play. Player 5 is going to really try and get the ball back as far as he can to player 1. What's going to happen now is player 3 and 4 should only be maybe 2 or 3 steps away from each other. Player 3 is going to turn, and he's going to be setting a screen for player 4. That way, player 4 can use that screen, and we're going to be having player 5 and player 2 run out towards this left side because most likely player 1, he is going to be either back here at the point or over towards the side just a bit. The reason is most teams will not have their point guard in the offensive side. So most likely they're going to be having player 1 on the defensive side. So by having both of these players run over towards this side, that should bring player 1 up towards the point to defend player 1 blue. Meanwhile, these guys are clearing the space. Player 4 is using 3 as a screen. Player 1 could take 1 or 2 dribbles forward if he wanted, but we really want player 4 to get that ball for that layup. Now, we haven't been as successful with this play. I would say it's quite literally 50-50. A lot of the times, player 3 will just switch off. However, still a successful play versus others that I have seen out there. Now, this next and fourth basketball play that I'm going to show you is really unconventional. This is not a play that I would recommend to use all the time. If you're going up against a team that doesn't have a tall center who you know for sure you are going to win the jump, this play is for your team. So we're going to be spreading out players 4 and player 2. Now, of course, player 3 could be over there. Whatever it may be, it doesn't really matter. However, we're going to be having those two players spread out at the free throw line extended. most likely these two players are not going to be spreading too far out of the circle, which means that player 5 just needs to get the ball to players 1 or 3. Once one of those two players get the ball, I want to see both of these players cutting straight towards the rim. I want whoever gets this ball to lob up the ball towards the rim or towards the player who doesn't have a defender coming at them. So in this case, lobbing it up towards the low block over here if player 4 was going to get that ball, if player 4 red was not defending him, so that we can get the nice easy layup. Now the reason why this is unconventional is because obviously, as you can see, we only have 2 defenders, technically a third, if the ball was to go to either player 4, player 2, player 1, whoever it may be. It would be a quick 5-on-3 situation that you don't usually want to have your team go up against right as soon as you start the game. That's why this play is a bit more risky. However, if you know that you have a 99% chance that my center is going to win the jump, this is a play that's going to work, and this is a play that's going to destroy many teams. So if you are one of the lucky few teams that have a 6'9" center in grade 12, and the other team doesn't have any chance of getting that jump ball, this is a play that you can run. You could also have your center with the same play, instead of tapping it back to the point guard or to one of those 2 players who are behind him, he can just smack the ball forward to one of those 2 players who are cutting towards the rim, and you're going to have a guaranteed basket at the beginning of the game. Now, if this is a team that's going to be scouting you out, you might not want to run this play too many games before you play against this team, because you don't want to give away what you're going to be using against them. Now this 5th play, this is going to be a play that you would run if your team doesn't have too much of a chance to win the jump ball. This way we have our defenders back ready to set up in their defense, but also we can still run a play off of this, which is still very useful. So what we're going to be trying to do is get the ball back to one of these 2 players. If, for example, player 1 gets that ball, what we're looking to do here is to have player 2 set a screen on player 2's man, or if the point guard just does not have a man defending him like he does right here, you will have a very low possibility chance that they're going to be setting up in the offensive side. So most likely the point guard is going to be back here. In which case, if player 3 gets the ball, that's when you want to have player 4 set that screen. However, if player 1 gets that ball, what you want to see happen is player 2 to go out wide. You want to see player 4 still setting that screen for player 3, who's going to be using that screen. You want player 1 to either dribble the ball up to draw player 1 towards him, or if player 2 red is defending player 1 at this point in time, we want player 2 to get that ball, so that, again, that draws player 1 out towards this side of the court, in which case we now have player 3 open for a layup. So even though we're running a more defensive set, where just in case, let's say, for example, we have a 99% chance of not winning the jump, then we can run a play like this where if we did get that 1% chance of winning the jump, then we can still make a play and get a couple of quick points, especially if we're running up against a team that's a lot better than us. I hope that these plays help your team win more games. Go check out some custom basketball practice plans for your team in the comment section, as well as the top, actually near the middle of the description itself. I hope that these help, and I will see you guys again later on today for the second video of the day.